Thank you for joining us on the Nikki Medoro Show. I'm Nikki Medoro. She's Kim McAllister, and we are here for you Monday through Friday talking about the top topics of the day. And it's hot. It's summer. Well, it's not even officially summertime yet, Kim. And in
But
California,
it
at least.
feels like summer now. School
Yes.
is out.
School's
It's
out.
hot.
It's
It's
hot.
full on summer over here at my house.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
it's just going to get hotter and hotter. I
hmm
mean, they're putting out these warnings already about triple digit heat. I mean, if you're in the Central Valley of California, and hello to everyone that doesn't live in California, but the
Yeah.
Southwest, I mean, there's so many between the hurricane season back east, hot as balls freaking temperatures out this way. It's going to be an interesting summer to say the
Yeah.
least. But the scariest thing about these temps, of course, is the wildfires, and they always accompany the hot temperatures all around California.
Yeah.
And people, weather forecasters are telling people that you need to be prepared for all of this, not only heat related illnesses, but of course the wildfires, the grass fires, and everything that's burning. So we're going to see temperatures in the Bay Area this week. I mean, some places may get it into the 90s, which isn't deathly hot. But if you go to places like Fresno, you know what I
Mm,
mean? Like, definitely toying with the 100 degrees. And
yeah.
I just can't even imagine how dry it is. And it just takes a spark like that to just ignite the grasses that have been drying out. I mean, my lawn here, the heat wave, the last one we have, happened so quickly. I didn't have time to bump up my water cycle. So
hmm
like some of my grass started like dying, and I'm like, it'll come back, I know. But it was like, shoot,
Yeah.
it's getting really, really hot. And because of all of the wildfires that we've had, of course, we've lost a lot of insurers. So last week, State Farm said that it was going to come up with a compromise. It was going to allow California property owners who would have lost their coverage to stay with it, but they would have to cut. It was something called difference in condition policies. Basically, they'd give you all the insurance that you need for your house except fire insurance. You'd have to go to the FAIR
Oh,
plan, the California FAIR plan, which is the most expensive, the insurance of last resort for your fire insurance. But they'll
sure.
cover everything else.
Okay.
And
Which is, what is that? Not earthquake?
it's
And
water damage.
so if your roof caves in because you have a flood or something, or then they'll cover it. That's about the only thing. Or if
Yes.
you get broken into, they'll cover it,
Right. So you have that.
but not
Um,
earthquake and not fire.
not well. Earthquake was never what
Right. You
that's
have to
always
buy
been
that
an addition.
separately,
Right.
and they want you to buy
Exactly.
fire now separately.
So they'll cover water damage, liability claims, and theft, among other
hmm
things. So yes, that like you just said.
hmm
Now we don't know how much it's going to cost just for that, and people are pissed off. They're like, "Wait a minute, I had an insurance policy that did cover fire, and now all of a sudden fire is not covered." I think this is a BS decision, but the insurance commissioner, Ricardo Lara, was saying real estate prices and our real estate market is being threatened because of the lack of fire insurance. You
Yep.
can't sell your house if you can't get fire insurance on that house.
No, because when you get a mortgage, part of the
Yes,
stipulation of getting a mortgage is
right.
having insurance, because the mortgage company doesn't want to be left on the lurch if your house burns down and there's
No,
no insurance money to cover it.
no.
Then you've got a mortgage and nothing to show for it.
Exactly. So in this article I was reading in the Chronicle, this is what he was quoted in Steve Glazer's podcast called Table Talk. He said, "If you can't find insurance for your home, you can't sell your home, which means local governments are not going to have the resources, as you know, to actually hire the firefighters to protect those homes during a wildfire." And he wants insurance agents, Laura does, to be involved in the entire buying and selling process, and advised that Californians looking to sell their homes should address issues like old wiring, brush clearance that can make it difficult for buyers to find insurance. My thing is, insurance companies, I don't care how strict you want to make a list of rules that houses need to have. You know, the defensible space. Maybe they need to have. Remember, we were talking about this during the wildfire seasons during COVID. The foil that you could wrap your home in, like it would drop down, and it was
Yeah.
literally like it was like this special type of fire resistant foil. And homes used it. They used it to protect the redwood trees, and the fire wouldn't damage it. I do that. There are so many people that would pay out the butt for all these preventative measures that could literally save their home even if the fire does come. And that's
hmm
the point. Like, yeah, it might suck to be surrounded by like burned ground and trees. But if your house is still there, then the insurance company doesn't have to pay anything. So make a bunch of strict rules and then give people back their freaking insurance,
Yeah.
or don't rebuild in these areas.
Hmm.
You can't rebuild in high fire areas and then not let people insure their homes. That seems completely unfair.
Well, then what do you do with people who paid a bunch of money for these homes in these areas that are now fire zones that weren't
Right.
when the homes were purchased? Now you've got a land, piece of land worth, I don't know, two or $300,000 without a house on it. And what do you do with that? You can't
Yeah.
sell it because you
Nope.
can't build on it
I
anymore.
mean,
So it becomes worthless and everyone's screwed.
yeah. I mean, it is. It's a no-win situation.
Yeah.
Again, we were speaking earlier this week about how California spends money, but maybe the state of California does need to step in and does need to buy these properties back and be like, cut a check to some of these people. And I don't know, obviously, if you have a piece of land that was once worth a boatload of money and now it's worth a fraction of that, that's a hard pill to swallow. So maybe we could find out some sort of number to make people able to move somewhere else and afford it, but that's hard because it's so expensive to live here. I don't know. But if you're going to allow people to rebuild, all I'm saying is the insurance companies should have to figure out a way to still cover these homes for fire. I mean, if I have to do jump through all these hoops to make my home fire safe or resistant or something, and I do it, then give me my insurance. I don't care if it's a sprinkler system that turns on at the moment's notice. I don't care what it is. If I have to do it, fine. If I want to keep this house and keep this area. I mean, that's the only thing that I could see, but I guess it's a step in the right direction with State Farm. I feel like these insurance companies always plan to do this. I think that there was some sort of phone call between they all colluded together and they're like, you know what we're going to do? You know what we're going to do? Because we're losing money because of climate change that we just didn't want to deal with, right? What we're going to do is we're just going to pull the F out. And what are they going to do then? They need us. They need us. And so they're going to have to do all these things on their own dime, not ours. All that, and that's going to reduce the risk, and eventually we'll move back. But they're playing the long game. I absolutely think that they're like, we'll just stay in other states where we're not facing this. But good luck finding a state that isn't impacted by some form of climate change. Go ahead. You know what I mean? It's high temps, wildfires, hurricanes, flooding, let alone the infrastructure and then the damage that it does, erosion. I mean, the world is changing, and people's slow reaction to it is how we got in this mess in the first place.
Yeah.
You know?
And it feels like you're at the mercy of the insurance company.
Oh, you
It
absolutely
really
are.
does, because
Exactly.
there's nothing you can do.
Nope. There's
Yeah.
absolutely not. And again, you can't sell. You just can't sell if you don't have the insurance. And so I hope that Laura can, the insurance commissioner, can figure out even more compromises with these insurance companies. But I don't know. How quickly it's going to be for some people that need to get out of their homes. You know, maybe they're retiring. Maybe their retirement plan was to sell their house. Right? I mean, can you imagine that was your retirement plan? Now you're stuck with this house in a high fire zone and you can't insure
kind
it.
of my retirement plan. And so what happens, right? I know.
Exactly. That's going to be so scary. Well, one idea, Kim, is you could just start from effing scratch. Now, we've talked about this before, but coming up in November, big election for this huge utopian-like city that you guys, if you're from California, you definitely know. It's called California Forever. It's in
Which,
Solano County.
By the way, is in the middle of a fire zone, just so you know.
There you go. I'm sure they'll just totally plan for all of that. You know, we're talking like near Travis Air Force Base. They have a lot of plans. They want to move as many as 400,000 people into this area. So it's between Fairfield and Rio Vista, if you know the area. It's in Solano County. And I mean, they are throwing every utopian idea at this plan that you can. And they're piecemealing it out. You know, there's this great article in the Chronicle about, you know, just leaving little rocks, a trail of rocks for people to be like, oh, it doesn't sound so bad now. I think the latest one was they want to have a sporting venue, because that's what other people were bitching about that live up there. They're like, I got to drive miles and miles and miles, either for Little League or whatever, because they don't have anything to play there. And then, of course, if you want to go to a Giants game, I don't know, they're building an MLB park, but it's just there's no sporting facilities out there. Well, last week, I was rewatching this interview that Jan Schmarek, I'm saying his name wrong. He's one of the investors of California Forever. He's like the head, the face. And he's basically saying, he's like, you guys didn't plan for the housing, right? You didn't plan for all of this. So not only are people moving out of the area, they're moving out of the state, right? Would you rather have somebody, taking a plane to Texas, Ubering, all that to deal with it because their job now is in Austin, or drive an hour, out of the Bay Area to where this California forever city is going to be? I just don't think that they're fully hashing out what needs to happen. If you want to build and attract companies, go to, I don't know, Bakersfield. Go to, go someplace inland that's cheaper, right? So people can afford housing and entice companies there. They're still not that far from the Bay Area, but you're not impeding on Travis Air Force Base. The Solano Land Trust just came out last week, says they're against the plan because they're to protect the land. And you bring in 400,000 people up there, and it's going to be a walkable city, and it's going to be an environmental city, and it's going to have all these friggin' things. And I feel like they're just selling a load of BS. And not really thinking too much about the dotting of the I's and the crossing of the T's of what that's actually going to look like. Like, who's going to be allowed in this utopian type city? What type of worker is going to be allowed in this utopian type city? They had initially sold it as a European model. And then I read it somewhere. Someone's like, it just looks like Mountain View.
This is what it looks like. This is a rendering, an official rendering.
Yeah. I mean, it just seems to me. Yeah, can you imagine a wildfire burning right through that? How are you going to make it fire safe, right? How are you going to find the insurance? All those sorts of things. And I will also say this. These are tech billionaires, right? It's Mark Andreessen and those type of people. I get there's a little bit of a hesitation because we saw what tech did to cities, right? Like San Francisco, they kind of pushed people out, big tech money moved in. Are we building tech jobs here? I mean, they're not really forthcoming of who's signed on for this as far as a company. They're like, well, nobody yet, but, and it's like, well, until you have that, what are you really saying? What are you really selling people?
Right.
In April, so a couple of months ago, Solano Together, which of course is opposing the project, said 70% of county residents said they would vote no if the election were held today. 70. The poll showed voters are well aware of the proposed city. 76% said they had heard about it. Of the voters who said they had heard a lot about it, 79% were opposed. Congressmen Mike Thompson and John Garamendi have come out very much against the plan. Look at that. I mean, I like the idea. I think that if we're going to take, who knows what nefarious plans they actually have or ideas they may have planned. But if you're just looking at look, we need to have a place where people can live and work near where they are. I've bitched about that all the time, right? You didn't design cities with this in mind. You designed cities where we live in the suburbs and we drive into the city. That's how it was created. So if you can, reverse that, and we're going to have a neighborhood, we're going to have work here, we're going to design it from the ground up that way. Okay. But I don't think that you need to start in this area. And I also think that them snapping up all that land so secretively it definitely rubbed people the wrong way, because it's like, well, why weren't you forthcoming from the very beginning? They're like, well, we didn't want people, up in the prices of things and all that sort. It's just stop. Yeah, that was one of the early renderings. It looked like Europe or Italy or Greece or something like that.
It really does. Look at
that. Oh
yeah,
and now it's no, it looks like a Mountain View. It looks like we know what that town looks like, and unless you draw, big business corporations there, people are still going to be driving an hour into the Bay Area. You're not really solving any sort of problem. You're just not.
No, it's interesting. I find the whole sports complex. I'm like, how much does that add on to the tab?
Well, I mean,
how much is this thing going to cost?
Right?
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, it's billionaires. And hold on, I got to text my kid real quick. That is, they have the money, right? It's they just want to put it behind it. But billionaires are billionaires because they're not stupid, right? It's they didn't make their billions by throwing it away without, I feel like, knowing there was going to be an ROI, a good ROI on that investment.
Sure.
So what's the ROI? They cannot be an altruistic reason of, I want a utopian society for all.
No. It's just a massive land grab and a massive land development.
Exactly. Are you going to be the landlord? Are you going to allow everybody in? Is there going to be low income housing? Is it, there's so many questions of that they aren't answering. All they're doing is just kind of piecemealing this idea out, pardon me, out to people.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, now the sporting complex, and what's funny about the sporting complex is I think that that might be one of the things that really entice people to possibly vote for it. And so they
Right.
tied it in. They're like, you have to approve the whole project or you don't get your sporting
You don't get your
facility.
little league field. Come
I'm like,
on.
well, so you don't actually care about the people over here. You could start with
Yeah.
this. You could start, right? You could start with the sporting facility, see how you run that, see what that attracts. I don't know. I mean, I know there's not I don't know even the population out there, but Travis Air Force Base is a major military institution. And I think people
Yeah.
also have a lot of concerns about that as well.
There are at least, I want to, it feels like every year, maybe it's every other year, a massive fire. And I know that because I've covered fires out there
Right.
before where the flames are burning right up to the gates of the airfield.
Exactly.
Right. And so this is a fire zone. So how much water is it going to take to turn it into Tuscany? How much water is it going to take to turn it green with green potted
Yeah.
plants and trees and whatever else?
Exactly.
This is like, these are dry rolling hills and
windy too.
flatlands
It can
and-
be windy
yeah.
out there as well,
Mhm.
you know? And so
Yeah.
do they know that? So apparently that Jan guy is like, we chose Solano County because I like to go fishing out there.
Yeah.
I'm glad you did your due diligence and your research into the area in which you wanted to build your utopian city. And I'm not saying it's not a good spot for it.
Yeah.
My point is I just feel like there's already places that have infrastructure, if that makes sense. Like you don't need to start so from scratch and so secretively, but now they've bought the land. So and I don't know what the answer to this next question that I'm going to ask is, but if it's rejected by voters, do they just sell it? Like, do they sell it back? Like, what are you going to do now?
Well, they've already bought a lot of farmland out
Right.
there and put a
So-
lot of farmers out of business.
So
I
now
don't
what
know
are you going to
with it.
do? What are you going to do with it? And
I guess
that
you just
also
keep
worries
fighting.
me.
You keep fighting and fighting and fighting until you get what you want. And now they're in it. They're in it, financially in it. So now they have to hold on.
Well, I mean, I would say if I bought a big chunk of land, lot of land, right, enough to build a city, and then I got the no on building that city, I'd want to obviously build something else, something that works within not needing approval, right? I don't
What
know.
do you build out there? You can't build anything out there.
I don't know. But then that worries me as well. It's like
Yeah.
they obviously thought about this, unless they're total morons, which I don't think that they are. And so, and they don't give a lot of interviews. So Bloomberg News is the one that got that Jan guy on, and again, he did make some good points. I'm not saying he didn't. We do have a problem of people commuting way too far and housing being way too expensive and having way too many regulations to build new housing. And if we don't fix that, then we're going to continue to find ourselves in this situation. And I wanted to bring this story into it, and I forgot to click on it. But there was just an article in the Mercury News about splitting property they use San Jose, my hometown of San Jose, as an example of putting these, and we've talked about it, putting ADUs on a plot of land.
Yep.
You have a gigantic backyard. You live in the city of San Jose, and you've had your house since the 70s.
Yeah.
So you likely have a gigantic backyard, right? Because that's kind of how they designed it back then. And so you could fit a whole freaking house back there, and I could split it up and do those sorts of things. Now, I know it's not going to work in every neighborhood, and not every plot is feasible for that. But that's what I mean by already having infrastructure and then utilizing it better, right? Making the regulations, working within the community, talking to neighborhoods, doing it thoughtfully, not, just willy-nilly, and not thinking about congestion, which there's just naturally going to be more of, but mitigating that as well. You could do that. I just don't know if buying up a bunch of land in Solano County and angering your neighbors was the smartest way of doing that.
No.
They should have been leading the way on this.
Well,
You should have reached out to them first.
The whole thing feels weird, right? Doesn't it feel like cultish and weird? Like, what
Who's
secretive
gonna go?
kind of weird
Yes.
place are you trying to make?
Totally. Absolutely.
Like a place where, everyone subscribes to your beliefs and walks around doing the same thing, and we're all, I don't know.
No,
It's kind of creepy.
It seems
Yeah.
creepy to me, and again, it's, I just want to know like the makeup of it. I mean, we
Yeah.
pride ourselves on our diversity. I'm not saying that every town and city in the state of California is that
Yeah.
diverse. I'm just saying we do pride ourselves on that. And,
Mhm.
you have to attract so many different things. You have to attract restaurants and gas stations. Like,
Right.
it's not easy. to build an entire city from the ground up. And now all of this land is in this billionaires hands. And we'll just have to see what they're going to do with it. So again, in November, they're supposed to be voting on it. I'm saying it's going to be a no unless they drop a few more big pebbles to make it enticing for these people.
What
So,
other
we'll see.
pebbles could they drop? The sports complex?
The sports complex. I mean, what the biggest pebble that I would say is actually have a major employer signed on. That's
Yeah.
what I would say. You would have to be like, oh my God, I've always wanted to work for X company. Or
Like
we're going to open a
Google
manufacturing
City,
plant.
right? Yeah.
Something. Well,
Yeah.
and that's so funny that you said it. Last weekend, I went to this festival in downtown San Jose.
Sure.
And it was, you're just walking. I saw some old friends and we were talking. And my friend's husband is a contractor. And speaking of the Google Village that's supposed to be popping up in downtown San Jose, that's been put on pause. He's like, it ain't happening. And now look, Google snapped up all those homes and all those businesses. And now they're just sitting on it. Now it's sitting vacant. What's going to happen? You know what I mean? I mean, they could do something with it. You could literally turn it into housing and make tons of money.
Sure.
But that's not what Google wants to do. Google wanted to build this, European type city.
Google Village. Yeah.
Yeah. And the renderings were amazing. Thanks, Sam Licardo. Just to let you know why I was never a big fan of him, is that, he was a huge proponent of this Google Village. He would give them everything. And I'm like, what skin do they have in the game? Well, now they've paused it. And we don't know what's going to happen to all of that. And it's kind of scary if you live in that neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like,
Totally.
It really is scary if you live in that neighborhood and a bunch of billionaires make big plans and then they fall through.
You know what's not on pause? This.
Ooh, what is that?
This is the vertical aircraft, the electric air taxi.
Ooh.
And it's from Archer Aviation. They're partnering with United Airlines. And this week, last week, I should say, the Federal Aviation Administration approved the certification of this Santa Clara-based electric aircraft manufacturer. And the hope is that it brings this taxi service to the Bay Area. So you want a flight out of Mineta San Jose Airport? Okay, Nikki, it's going to land on your street and it's going to pick you up and it's going to fly you to the airport. I want to go to SFO. Okay, we're going to fly to Petaluma. We're going to pick you up and we're going to drop you off.
How much
at
is a
SFO.
ride on this thing?
It's a really expensive proposition.
Okay.
It's their goal, according to Archer, is to transform urban travel, replacing 60 to 90-minute commutes by car with estimated 10 to 20-minute electric air taxi flights that are safe, sustainable, low noise, and
I'm
cost
not flying in
competitive.
anything electric. Sorry, I'm not flying in anything electric.
But it's not cost competitive. I don't know where somewhere I saw where the price was, and it's like, I don't know, $300 or something to fly, or $500
In
to
addition
fly.
to the air flight that you'll actually also still need to take to where
You are
you're
correct,
going.
ma'am. That's exactly right. But they've approved it now, and I can't help but look at this thing and think Jetsons, because it's the vertical air travel, right? Where you don't have to have a runway; it just lifts off like
Straight
a
up.
helicopter,
Yes.
kind of a thing. And look at the space agey look of that cabin.
Right.
It looks
like it. It does.
It kind of has Jetson-y like spacecraft look. I don't know.
I mean, would you ride in it? I mean, if you had the money, I guess if you had FU money, right? Like
4 passengers at a time.
Uh-huh.
And now that they got this FAA certification, they're able to start to refine their systems and their procedures in advance of launching what they call Midnight. That's what they call this program,
Okay.
Midnight, into service for airlines like United when they get the final certification. It's got 12 propeller-driven engines that rotate up to allow vertical takeoffs and landings like a chopper, and then rotate back down for forward flight, giving it the acronym EVTOL, Electric Vertical Takeoff and Landing, EVTOL.
EVTOL.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you going on? Hey, if I have money to burn, if I've won the lottery and I need to get to the airport in a hell of a hurry, why not?
Okay. Hold on. I think I just saw how much they're going to charge people, and I'm not quite buying it. Hold on.
Is it like 300 to 500?
No, I mean, it's okay. This is what I don't. Okay. Archer estimates that it will launch the service for between $3 and $4 per passenger mile. Therefore, the charge for a 20-mile trip would be between 60 and $80. I could do that.
I don't think so. I mean, okay, maybe if you live near the airport.
Right.
But
So a trip
when
from
you're
downtown
talking
LA
about-
to LA airport's 15 miles. It would cost 45 to $60.
Well, that's
That's
cheaper than an
reasonable.
Uber, right?
That's that. I mean, I don't like the fact that it's electric, and I don't care about all my EV people out there. My car dying because it runs out of a charge on the ground is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
My helicopter, I don't know, getting caught in a lightning storm or something. I don't know. I don't want to be in the air when that happens. How about that?
I'll let other people test this out first.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
that's
cool
definitely
looking.
good.
You have to admit it is interesting looking.
Oh my God. I mean, it's a really cool idea. I really, now the price point, if the price point is, and I got this one off autofutures.tv is where I saw this price point. So I'm just going to credit them with those numbers. But if it's like $60, I mean, yeah, I would do it. Absolutely. I mean, after other people did it and nobody died.
So when I read about this previously, I thought it was a few $100s.
Right. No.
Kind of like almost as much as maybe taking a limo to the airport.
Okay.
But a little bit more. That's how I thought. But I don't live smack dab near the airport either. So I might have been looking
Right.
at a trip from Petaluma to the SFO is going to
But I
cost
mean-
you more than it's going to cost you.
I can understand. Like, I would never take this to go to San Jose Airport. I'm not far enough away. But if I was
Sure.
in LA and I had to get to the airport, and you know LA traffic, I could totally see me like, I'm paying $80, get the helicopter over here to take me to the airport. That is crazy.
Yeah.
That is actually pretty kind of cool. I'll be honest. I'm liking it more and more. Still not liking the whole EV aspect of it or whatever.
It's sustainable, right?
sustainable,
I mean, it's
yeah.
not spewing a bunch of crap into the sky.
Yeah. I mean, I like the
good
fact that
time.
it's cleaner. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
as long as they can definitely guarantee that it's not going to lose power if there was backup generators. If it was like a hybrid, you know what I mean? Like we use electric power unless something goes wrong and then we
Just
pick
in
up the
case.
fuel. Yeah, then I think I feel a little safer about it. But that's really cool. If they can keep that price point, just for the experience, right? Like we're going to go to, I mean, how many miles is it to San? So it's, I mean, from here to SFO from my house, it's what? 45 miles. So, you know, that's a pretty expensive ride,
How
but
space agey does that look?
right on a helicopter, that's kind of a cool experience. I might shell out for, you know what I mean?
Well, in my case, okay, say I have to be at SFO and my flight leaves at 8 a.m.
Right.
and I have to budget a couple hours to go through security. And then I
Right.
have to budget for traffic because I never know how traffic's going to be on
The
101 or in the city.
parking and everything like
So
that.
I'm getting up at 4 in the morning to get out of my house by 4:30 or 4:45 to get to the
Right.
airport on time. Or I could just have this thing come pick me up and I don't have to worry about traffic.
Exactly.
And I know it's going to drop me off 2 hours ahead of time to get through security and all will be well.
And there's no traffic in the air, baby. There's no traffic in the air. All right. I mean,
Look at
I
it.
guess
It looks weird.
you know what? I think I can get behind it. I think he kind of sold me on it. Honestly, it's the price point that got me. I mean,
Yeah.
I was thinking it was going to be like you, $500 at
Sure.
least. But if I can go to SFO for a couple $100 versus like $500, it had to be in like the 200 and under range.
Right.
And I would be like, you know what? For that experience to fly
Yeah.
over the bay to my, like for a special trip, like if I was going on my anniversary trip and I'm like, you want to take the helicopter to the airport? Hell to the yeah, baby. Or if you have no one to take you to the airport, right? You're like,
Right.
I don't know. Nobody wants to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to take my ass to the airport.
Listen,
you
if
go.
it's cheaper, because at this point, I can go to the airporter from Petaluma to SFO or Oakland,
Right.
and I can pay. I think it's what $45, $50 a person for the airporter.
See?
Might have gone up since I took it last, and that's
That's
one
a
way,
lot.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, and that's the same price as then having this thing pick me up and drop me off right at
And
the
you're in a
curbside
helicopter.
or whatever. Sure.
Right. There you go. I think, if you're looking for sponsors, people, I mean, I wouldn't want to be the first one on it, but,
The future has arrived.
the future has definitely arrived. All right. Well, we've arrived to the end of our show. Click that thumbs up button. Show your support, please. And make sure you've subscribed and hit that bell button. If you love the show and you want us to continue doing the show, please support us through our Patreon. Just go to thenikkimadoroshow.com, click the Patreon button, and donate whatever you can afford one time a month. I like to consider it like a monthly tip for myself and for Kim. And so if you like seeing our lovely faces, please donate to our Patreon. We also love PayPal as well, paypal.com. Hit the send button and then put in the email address, thenikkimadoroshow@gmail.com, thenikkimadoroshow@gmail.com, right there on your screen. Sorry, I hit the button. And we appreciate it. Any dollar that you can give, we appreciate it. Also, support our sponsor. She's a lovely woman by the name of Tabby, Auntie Tabby's Island Flavors. She has all of these sauces, hibiscus, a pineapple hot sauce, and a guava barbecue sauce. She donates a portion of everything that she makes to this skateboarding children's program in Jamaica, where she's from. These, pardon me, these sauces she made, she developed the recipes. She's an amazing woman. Excuse me.
You gonna make it there, sister?
I'm gonna make it. I just wanted to also throw this in because I just remembered she's also made her sauce gluten-free. So she has all kinds of issues as well. So she understands how important it is. So go to her website. She's officially been deemed gluten-free. I don't know if it's all of them. So go to the website, antitabbies.com. And if you use the coupon code NIKKIM, NIKKIM, you get 10% off every single order. And it could be, and if you buy it, be like Dan. Do you have the picture of Dan? Let's show the picture of Dan. Dan bought the sauces. There he is with his happy face. And look how happy he looks. Be like Dan.
Cute.
Be like Dan. Thank you, Dan, so much for supporting. And so, yeah, Nick Kim is the coupon code for that 10% off every order. All right. We will be back tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for being here. We love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're sprout like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.